Hey everybody, and welcome to the September update. Now, we do these updates every month, sort of, when we can, when there's news, so that we can pretty much talk about the hobby. It's one of the things I really like, and talking about the hobby is just as good as doing the hobby itself. It's a thing I like, so I'm gonna share this with you. What I thought was interesting for the month of September, or at least what I saw in September, which I want to really talk about. Now, September 2025 would not be, the update would not be complete if we did not talk about the Kings of War 4th edition update. Now, this is big news for folks who like Kings of War. I've got a very close relationship with Kings of War. I remember heading down to Nottingham and you know to the Mantic office. I think 2010. Meeting Ronnie and stuff like that, and getting to know the initial uh, Kings of War game, sort of. At that time, I think there were only dwarves and elves. If I'm not mistaken, dwarves, elves, and they were churning them out. They were you could actually recommend a friend and they'll give the friend a box and stuff like that. It was really exciting because there was a new rank and file game that was coming out, right? And with that, they sort of mm, stuck the flag in. What do you call it? Put the flag, as the banner for, this new rank and file thing that was coming out of Nottingham, right? Now, as time passes, they release stuff like this, the Mantic Journal, and then came the rule book, right? And this is the second edition rule book. As you can see, it's really small. It's not really that many pages. Oh yeah, they did the undead as well. So it was dwarves, elves, and undead. Now in this rule book, they introduce not introduce. They talk about the dwarves. They talk about the elves. They give you stats for that. Like as you can see over there, the stats for the elves, and then kingdoms of men, and abyssal dwarves. The original abyssal dwarves, and then of course, not of course, they had goblins, orcs, and Twilight Kin. The first run of Twilight Kin, which is basically kids. It was basically elf kits with extra bits in it. So that was the early Twilight Kin, and then of course the undead, right? So when from me first arriving at Warlord, and they had dwarves, elves, and undead, they have moved forward, and now, years later, they are about to announce their 4th edition rule set. And now, when we used to run games of Kings of War here, we liked it more for the older gamer. Now, let me explain that. Now, when you're doing Warhammer Fantasy, you actually need to plan a whole evening. So, boys would come into the store and they would set up their armies, maybe about maybe 11, maybe 12. Then they'll play, take a lunch break, and then they'll play. Then they'll probably leave the store about 6 o'clock in the morning, right? So, 6 in the evening. So this is like a whole day's worth. Um, I will be the I will definitely say that the Warhammer rules at the time, which I think was 8th edition, was the best, and I think up till today, the best fantasy rank and file set ever made. The best. That's my personal opinion. So when as the gamers got older, they couldn't spend like 7 hours, 8 hours playing a game anymore. To the gamer, it didn't feel like much, right? But the resolution, flipping through rulebook and stuff like that, it takes about 7 8 hours to play. So when Kings of War arrived, I started introducing the boys to it. Initially, they were not so interested in playing Kings of War. Why? Because it felt too simple, right? It felt too simple, and not as good or as meaty as the 8th edition rule set. Now this is back in the day, but over the years, these same people have now become the defenders of the Kings of War rule set, and the world, right, which has changed names right now. It's not called Penethor. It used to be called something else. But the great bit is it goes to show how good a rule set is when you convert, you know, players from what I consider a most superior rule set to your rule set, right? When with every edition, they've made the rule set better. So I'm quite excited to see what's happening with fourth edition because if I was gonna do a side by side comparison, I can look back at fourth edition Warhammer Fantasy, right, and see whether they're on track, right. So yeah, so if you're interested in Kings of War, or you haven't tried it, you're gonna have a look at it because these days, as I was saying earlier, the gamers are older now and they can't spend 7 hours, so they want to spend a few less, at least half the time, 4 hours, 5 hours, and a game of Kings of War is that, it's 4 hours, 5 hours, you play and you finish, which is great. I mean, if you're a tournament player, and to me, I'm not a big tournament player. I understand the competitive urge, but I don't think tournament play is the best for miniature gaming. It's just a personal opinion. But I feel that if you can get games done within the hour or within 2 hours, you can actually have a 1 day tournament or 2 day tournaments, right, of Kings of War, and it could actually work, right? So yeah, those were the reasons why I think Kings of War slowly grew from strength to strength, right? Of course, they've now have all these different races, the tridents and stuff like that, which I think is exciting. But the other thing is also kind of great is you can actually use different miniatures for Kings of War, which I think is fantastic because a lot of folks who used to play Warhammer Fantasy are using the same fantasy armies, but redoing them for Kings of War, and very 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 smart. Like, they don't have to rebase because whatever the bases are in Kings of War, at least the previous editions, whatever the base was, you don't remove casualties, but you put your wound markers and stuff, right? A good system. So yeah, I'm really excited about the fourth edition rule set. You can actually follow the announcements. They're announcing bit by bit different parts of the rules, which I think is a great idea. And I personally hope that they will release the rules the same way Corvus Belly did, and just here you go, here's the rules, it's free. I hope that will be the case, which will be kind of perfect because every so often with Kings of War, they've got the Clash of Kings, and they compile it. They make the rules better, right? Because with new edition, try new things out every year, right? So let's hope that the fourth edition rule set, this one that's coming out, will be one that will require the least amount of erratas, right? So yeah, so that's September. It was announced at the last Clash of Kings, which just happened a few weeks ago, and it's exciting because when a rule set has a new edition, right, it galvanizes the system, it galvanizes the world, and it makes the community excited. So yeah, so September, one of the big announcements is the Kings of War fourth edition rule set. Next up, we're going to talk about Wargames Atlantic. Now, Wargames Atlantic have just announced. I'm not so sure whether it'll be out by the time you see this or watch this video, but they've got this thing called Hey Ho. This is the samurai rule set for their grand scale armies miniatures, right? It's not a cheap box, but the box comes with two armies for you to play with, and a rule book and stuff like that, which I think is great because it looks like the kind of box you buy, and then you don't have to buy anything else. But I am personally hoping that they will release the rule book on its own, because we have a lot of folks in the store who have already bought a whole lot of the grand battle scale samurai miniatures, and it'd be a shame if they can't play it elsewhere, right? I hope they will. Again, I think free rule sets are the way of the future, but we don't know what the plans are for Wargames Atlantic, because as it looks right now, you can only get the rule book from the Heiho rule set starter set box. Or I think it's not really a starter set, it's the set, right? The full set, you get everything you need to play. Also, they're playtesting their deathmatch game, which I think is quite kind of cool because um, Wargames Atlantic have now, moved their fingers into, helping. They've always been helping different miniature manufacturers, but now you see their hand, more prevalent, and it's just a natural progression that they have their own rule sets happening. I mean, Victrix and Pillage, it makes sense. It just makes sense. Also, from Wargames Atlantic, the new operators are coming out. This should be exciting because, operators or military operators are, are great because you can use them for your modern warfare games. And of course, if you're playing zombie games and you wanna take out the special force that you wanna put into your game, you want to take miniatures from Wargames Atlantic, the operators box is just perfect. I've yet to go through the whole weapons list, but they have got this whole frame, runner, sprue of weapons, which I thought is kind of great. I'm just not so sure whether they've actually uh set the, got this inspired from actual weapons, or is this just generic? I hope it's actual weapons because while it does lock it into a certain period, but you want folks to play with the weapons that they see on TV, or they can reference, online and stuff like that. So yeah, so from Wargames Atlantic, you have the Heiho, you have operators, and you also have the new what they call again, uh, bone blades, right? This is the undead army, which I think is a great move forward when it comes to doing armies. I mean, if you think of all the fantasy armies that have actually been produced by different manufacturers for different rank and file games, the undead would always come at some point, right? For Mantic, it's probably dwarf, elves, undead, and then forward, right? More or less same thing here. You have the dwarves, the orcs, and now you have the undead, right? They're just bound to come. It just makes sense. So yeah, so that's Wargames Atlantic, and lately, not lately, this month, September, which is just passed, we've heard that Wargames Atlantic also has a price increase, right? And this price increase has gone into effect. And this is not something that's only happening to Wargames Atlantic, because it's also happened to companies like Perry's. Perry's have also announced that they're increasing the price of their miniatures. This is it's quite unfortunate because we still use the certain price level that we want it to be affordable, but I suppose it's inevitable that miniatures raise in price. So far, the ones that I know raising their price is Wargames Atlantic, which has already happened, and Perry Miniatures, which I think by now would have already gone into effect. So yeah, so that September meant some price increase as well. On the Victrix front, well, we at the store here love our Victrix, right? And they've just released a new kit. How do you pronounce that? Let me see if I can pronounce this. The Theuriopoloi. The Theuriopoloi. And these are supposed to be these infantry figures, and they've just released this. And also they've also mentioned that they've got new kits coming out, right? So especially for Pillage, because Pillage is quite popular at the moment. So the current Pillage sets includes the Normans, the Saxons, the Vikings, and the Russ. And now they have announced that they're gonna be releasing the Carolingians, which I think is a great idea. But I'm not so sure. But let's hope that Victrix does not increase their price anytime soon. But like I said, it's inevitable. It'll probably happen at some point. So it's best to support these companies right now when you can get them cheaper, because if you can, if it's a little bit cheaper, we can buy a whole lot more miniatures. Oh, and very very quickly, if you're curious, Wargames Atlantic actually has the Dark Age series, and in the Dark Age series it's the Irish, and those ones comes with dogs or dags, and you can actually use that for pillage, right? So because even pillage is not exactly, it would, I mean, you can actually use any miniatures for pillage. So yeah, if you're looking for an alternative to the Normans, Saxons, Rus, and Vikings, you can get the Irish from War Games Atlantic. So yeah, that's more or less the news. We're here at the store. We're we're always excited to see what else is there out there. Why? Because I think having an option on the shelf for different uh, games, so there's a variety, helps. And for those who are into the whole kit bashing world, and they want bits from different um, manufacturers to put together for their creation. I think having a nice selection is a very very good idea. Which brings me to what I might be looking at over the next like couple of weeks. I'm really interested to check out the Shield Wolf range. The range is not very big. It's pretty small, which is manageable for a shop like mine, right? I can bring in all the sets and they can have a look at it, which is good. Why? Because like I said, variety is excellent. As for games where the company makes the miniatures to play, I am looking at maybe Moonstone to have a look at. But on the YouTube front, I would like to thank everybody for actually, helping us out watching the show, watching the videos that we put out. Right, we put out 1 2 a week, and over the last couple of weeks, you've been fantastic. People don't realize what a comment can do. Especially to a creator like me, who's working by myself. Right, I do all the editing, the shooting, and stuff like that. To just a line of comment does a lot for me. I'm really excited. So I'm always great. I'm always excited to reply. And over the last few weeks, I must thank everybody because they've actually stepped up, and there's a lot more comments for me to reply to, which is great. And also on the subject of the channel, very very quick, we are going to be redoing some of the videos that we did about 7 years back when I had no idea what I was doing, and I was trying to feature miniatures, but not doing them justice because I did not have good equipment and I didn't have an idea what I was doing. So over the next couple of weeks, if you're following me, you'll probably see uh, I mean, this is more for DBA actually. You probably see a lot of DBA armies which I've already featured 7 years ago, but redone with this new format that I'm going for, where we look at the miniature closely, instead of the whole lazy Susan, Dolly, carousel, whatever you call it, right? Which was quite a distance away. A lot of comments came in like they couldn't see the detail. So now I want to redo those videos because the goal is that hopefully in many many years to come, if you're playing DBA especially, you go back and use this videos as reference for you to paint, and as reference to decide on which army you need to buy, and perhaps offer some inspiration on painting. Because some of the armies that we featured have some really really good paint jobs, and it's why not, let's just share. So that's pretty much it. That's the September update, pretty much done. I might have missed out a couple of things because I'm sure I have, but if I did, then I will be doing another update in October. So this is every month. Oh, speaking of October, the Halo ODST is delayed. So the Halo ODST only comes out at the end of October, right? So yeah, I think we can talk about Halo in October. So that's pretty much it. I hope you liked the video. Keep those comments coming in. And as always, don't forget to enjoy painting those figures.